Hey guys, it's me Jenny and it's time for another daily vlog thingamabob doodly what's it. Yeah, so today I'm going to talk about something which I've been trying to talk about for a little while. I was hoping to maybe get out for the first or second video of the month because that would have been appropriate, but instead I have keep on filming stuff and putting stuff up, so I haven't. But today I'm going to talk about something I'm doing this month, which I am calling No by January, which is based on something which actually makes a bit more rolling off your tongue sense. So during the summer last year, when I was working in town all the time, I kept on regularly, consistently, buying too much stuff. That was both, I was stuck in town between work shifts and I'd, pop into a clothes shop and buy myself another t-shirt, or I'd go and buy myself a coffee because I was bored, or just lots of little extra expenditures. I pretty much every single day would buy myself a bagel on the way into work, which was followed usually by me having some lunch at work, so it was just a waste of money, or popping by Tesco's on the way in and buying myself a bunch of donuts, and then eating a bunch of donuts. So during the summer I realised that this was turning into a bit of a not particularly healthy pattern, either financially or physically. Eating 5 donuts a day for like 3 days running, probably not healthy. Maybe not quite that many, but definitely a lot of donuts, and a lot of bagels, and just basically being a waste of money and a waste of good healthy eating. So I decided to do No by July, which obviously rolls off the tongue better than No by January, but No by July worked really well. So basically I wrote a list of things I was allowed to buy, and circumstances in which I was allowed to buy certain things, and things that I definitely wasn't allowed to buy, and I managed to make it through the whole month doing that. So this month is not so much that I've been making little extenuous costs and buying little things here and there. It's been more that I have bought a car this month, and it's not a very expensive car. In fact, it's a pretty low expense cost car because it's the BB Baby second-hand car. But it is still quite a large expense, that with insurance and other things, that with being quite generous with my Christmas presents this year, and just a couple of other things I've spent money on recently where I think maybe I've spent quite a lot lately, and it'd probably be sensible to save up a little bit. So I'm doing No by January. Wow, long story short. So, which is why I wanted to film this at the beginning of the month, so I could track and record how well I was doing with it. So, a couple of the things that I have put on my list, the things I'm allowed to buy specifically are apples and oranges, oatcakes and cereal bars, all of which I usually eat 1 or 2 of on the way into work on the bus early in the mornings, because if I don't eat first thing in the morning then I get very ill, it turns out. I discovered that last year, particularly in mornings where I'm biking and then busing, or biking all the way to work. Just the physical exertion that early in the morning, particularly with my kind of warped sleep schedule. It is currently 1:30 in the morning, and that's, a relative night for me. Given my warped sleep schedule, early morning exercise, and very early mornings, it's very important for me personally to eat something relatively stable and consistent early in the morning. So apple, oranges, cereal bars and oatcakes are on my allowed to buy list. I am not allowed to buy myself anything else. Any chocolate, any sandwiches, anything like that counts as additional costs that I shouldn't purchase. Now I can get away with this. Don't worry, I'm not just eating oatcakes for a month. At work I get provided with meals if I'm working shifts, so I eat most of my meals at work when I'm during the week, and then when I'm at home there is family shared food in the house. Milk and vegetables get delivered, and other food costs I contribute to. Also, there is a couple of caveats. For example, if I am buying food for the household, like for example I buy a pizza to share among everyone, then that does not count against my 0 cost. But if I am buying a pizza for myself and then I eat it myself, then that counts as a cost against me, if that makes any sense. Other things I am not buying this month. I forgot to update my Kindle, so I currently have no books on my Kindle. However, I do have many stacks of books around my bedroom which I've been neglecting because I have a Kindle, so I just bring that into work instead of reading paper books. So I'm going back to reading paper books for a little while. So far I've finished 3 children's books, and I'm working my way through the adult section, or the young adult section of my reread pile. So currently I'm reading the Sabriel Uriel Aborson series. I'm halfway through L'Uriel. I also have a bunch of Animal Arc books, which, for those of you who know about the Animal Arc series, they're very easy reading. It takes me about 45 minutes to an hour to read a whole Animal Arc book, but I have many of them. So that's something I'm rereading. I'm going to reread a couple of the Anthony Horowitz spy stories, which will again probably only take me a couple of hours. And given that my bus commute is about half an hour either way, I can get through a whole book in one day, which is very satisfying. And it's physically clearing space in my room, which is lovely. But because I haven't purchased any Kindle books and I can't put any more on my Kindle, that limits me, and that's very good for me. On top of that, I'm also, as a challenging, not buying any more shampoo, conditioner or body wash. And again, do not worry, I will not be going as a smelly human being, because I have bottle after 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 squeezy bottle of various freebies, travel sizes, everything of everything. I have enough shampoo and conditioner to definitely last me a month without question, possibly next month as well, that to be honest are just taking up space on the shelf and no one's going to use. You know, if we're going to go abroad, what would be useful is if, for example, we had 2 empty bottles of various things that we can then decant the full-size bottles that we use day to day into, rather than buying more little plastic bottles and, you know, putting more plastic into the oceans. So I am going to use up some of this stuff and keep the bottles for practical uses, but use up the actual substances that are in them, which will be good, again, clearing space in my life, but also not spending money. And yeah, we'll see how this goes. So far I have had one failure, which is I was trapped in town between finishing my early morning shift and doing my evening shift, which doesn't happen very much at this time of the year. There was no lunch provided that particular day because of circumstances at work. It just hadn't started up again, so I didn't have lunch, and I was trapped in town between the morning shift and the evening shift, and I bought myself a panini because I was hungry from Costa. So far I've had one failure. I have bought myself, with a cup of tea and a packet of crisps, I think it was about £7, so I have put aside, at the beginning of the month I put away £30 for emergencies. So £7 out of my £30 emergency for the month has gone. So there we go, I have failed once, but I will keep you informed and see how we go for the rest of the month. So the things I'm allowed to buy, as I said, apple, oranges, oatcake cereal bars, family or social event dinners. So for example, if I go out for a social night and we're all having drinks, I can buy a round as long as I'm not buying just for me. I'm allowed to buy a takeaway for home as long as it's not just for me. Those will not count against my limit of nothing. Bus fares and petrol costs and those sort of things are all okay. But anything else counts as extraneous cost. So there we go, that's my challenge. I did really well in July last year. Let's see if January is as good. It is not a New Year's resolution. It is not something that I will consider to keep up after the month, but I'm going to see how well I go with it and see whether or not I can get through it. As I said, I've got my £30 limit, which is now down to £23 for the rest of the month. We shall see how it goes. I hope to keep you guys informed. I'm sorry this is such a long video, but it's quite a long-winded concept. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to comment, see whether or not you want to take up the challenge if you wish, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow for another video of some kind. Bye.